We got you.
Good, me.
For me to.
I thought sheriff's being.
Yeah.
It's on all the beach, around all the beaches, you know, it was. You couldn't see it.
I should have thought of
But
that.
at least it wasn't pretty nice. They said the rain just started.
Oh,
Just now, just now. You got what? You get chocolate chip cookies up here. Want chocolate chip cookies?
You got plenty of time to play with that.
Okay.
15 minutes.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I was-
pressure.
All right, okay, we're gonna find out.
Plenty of time. I have a big
I'm
one.
bigger. Yeah, I made them for,
You might want to use your microphone though. 'cause I think
Yeah.
it's echoing.
It's not a good thing.
I'm trying to see again.
You can see you.
Your microphone.
Sorry, my mic isn't on, so I did call us to order. And can you turn that mic? You're gonna turn yours off. Annette, thank you. Try and get the echo eliminated. Yeah, yeah, you can hear me. I need to be muted. So, I am calling for public input. Okay, nope, you're still there. This,
Have a cookie, everybody.
everybody, yeah, eat cookies. Here, you don't. Okay, I can talk now. I can speak now, I mean. Great. So that was about a minute of waiting for public input. So we'll just move on to the next item on the agenda. Did we even receive April 1st minutes? Did they go out? Did you guys see them? Okay, so I'll call for, yeah, now you know how far I got into them. Anyway, I call for an approval or a movement to approve the minutes from the April 1st Coastal Resilience Committee meeting. Okay, so you move and Nigel moves and Valerie seconded. Any discussion? Any changes? Okay, so we have all in favor of accepting the April 1st minutes, say aye. All opposed? Okay, so Allison, are you on there? Great. Town and council updates. I don't really have any update from the town council except to say that the budget was approved last night. Once again, we have for this committee $2,000 that we hardly ever spend, but I try and keep a line item in the budget so I know what budget meetings to attend, so I don't have to attend them all. And in the future, it may come in handy, especially, for example, the water level gauge that was just placed in the old harbor, the optical water sensor. If Niracus, the sponsoring part of NOAA, is eliminated, as it is slated to do, then we can pick up, we'll use that $2,000 to pick up the communication costs and some of the other residuals. But the unit is paid for by Niracus and it's already installed. So I think we're in really good shape. Very important, Miss Allison, because I know you have to leave in about 20 minutes. So for update from the town planner.
Okay, hi everyone. A few things, some grant updates. One, Judy and I spoke with Shauna Little from Fuss and O'Neill. This is something we mentioned at the last committee meeting where it's a Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank funded project where they've contracted with Fuss and O'Neill to assist communities in identifying stormwater management projects that Fuss would complete a conceptual design for. So New Shoreham was shortlisted for that. There's maybe 15 across the state. We had spoke with them about Bridgegate Square last year. Mike Shea's involved with this too. I just connected him and Shauna to discuss potential specific sightings for where some solutions could be sited on public property. So this week, we'll work with Fuss and O'Neill to finalize maybe a potential project. And it looks like we're in good position to get that technical assistance. There's no cost to the town and there wouldn't be any really required meetings and such. So it's a a good opportunity, I think, to get some free engineering support. So hopefully we'll find out shortly if New Shoreham's going to move forward with that. And then I did speak with Kim Coryath, the Chief Resiliency Officer. So we spoke about New Shoreham being included in the next round of NIFWIF grant funding for final design or implementation dollars for Corneck Road. So it looks like based on the status of where we're at, it'll probably be potentially more final design funding based on what NIFWIF funds at what stage. So I'm working with Kim on getting some cost estimates and on that. So that's coming in the next few months. I think it's summertime where that grant application is due. Regional Resiliency Coordinator, we've spoke about this. The state has 3 funded positions. They've gone through the interviewing process. So what Kim said is end of May that there would be a regional resilience coordinator on board, and one that they would be, I guess 2 days a week in Providence starting off, but that they would be spending times in the municipalities supporting municipal resiliency work for part of their schedule. They could assist with things like such as grant writing. I spoke with her about what about regulatory review and writing and best practices and things like that. So she said certainly that's something that they could support the town with. So, and I also spoke to her about Nora being on board and coordinating, work with her. So anyway, so that's something once we get the word that that position has been filled, we can start coordinating with them and getting more resiliency planning support for New Shoreham. And then finally, public meeting next week, May 15th for the Corneck Road Dune Restoration Project. GZA will be out on the island on Thursday next week. We spoke with our working group about having a late afternoon meeting, 3 to 4:30, where they'll provide the public and staff, whoever is able to attend, background on the project, vulnerability analysis, existing conditions analysis that they've completed, survey results. Last we spoke, there was probably about 100 responses to the survey. And then, of course, opportunity for public input at that meeting. So anyway, hope all of you are able to attend and learn more about the
time?
project.
3 to 4:30?
It's here at Town Hall, and I think we tried to do it at the same time that our regular meetings are held, 3 to 4:30. Terrific. Thank you so much. Is that it, Allison?
Yep.
That's fantastic. And just I was listening to what Allison was saying and also thinking about what I was hoping you were going to say. And so I'm not sure if you were super clear about this, but the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank technical assistance via Fuss and O'Neill that we're just starting, they're looking for green infrastructure, stormwater projects, things like that. I just wanted to, so you understood what they were looking for. And so that's why we're talking to Mike Shea, the Director of Public Works, about sites that are on public land. Unfortunately, a lot of where you might want to place one of these projects are private property. And so, it's easier to do it on public lands because that's us. But if we need to, Allison, I'm happy to work with you on contacting private landowners.
Yeah, she did say that was a possibility. Just takes a little bit of coordination. Yeah.
Yeah, just so you guys know.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any update on the Block Island Hazard Mitigation Plan, or have we put that to bed and I can take that off the agenda? Yes, but I think we are
adopted. It still needs to get FEMA approval, of course, but that's going to take some time. But for now, it's the final adopted versions available to the public, and then hopefully we'll get FEMA approval in the coming months.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
But REMA has reviewed it. The state has reviewed it and passed it along to FEMA. So
Oh, good.
yeah,
Okay, so the state is,
they are happy with it. Yeah.
well, that's good that we passed the state hurdle.
Yes.
Yeah, it really was super helpful having a professional come in and write that for us. That was really smart. Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
Allison? Okay, I'm up next. Update from the Black Island Coastal Resilience Committee Chair. I want to thank everybody who helped on Earth Day. George was a champion with getting the green crab soup, and Sosha and Mary were there. Valerie had her own table. Mary, who's in the audience because but Mary had her own. No, Anne had her own table. So we were very well represented at Earth Day, all around different aspects of resiliency and ecosystem awareness and whatever our different tables were subject to. So thanks everybody for your help. And I baked cookies for Earth Day, which I froze and then defrosted today for you. So please eat cookies. I do not want to take them home. Also, wait a minute, after Earth Day, I wanted to let you know that Corey Hines and I met with two scientists from URI, Erin Peck and Izzy Rico, who have a project called Salt Marsh Vulnerability and Carbon Dynamics on Block Island. And the sites that they're looking at are right near where we have water level sensors, the Harbor Pond, Trims Pond, not the same site, Nigel, as you. It's probably a different corner of the pond, just because of the marsh that they're looking for. You know, they're looking at salt marshes, not, green grass. But also we took them out to Mosquito Beach, Andy's Way. They were very interested in Andy's Way. And so this is a proposal right now. That's the proposal phase that they're in. But they're thinking that they could even get started before they know if they've got the money or not. So they're very positive about being able to work with us. So that was very exciting. And the final thing I wanted to bring up was there's a lot going on in the federal government right now. And the elimination of so much of NOAA is going to have an impact on us. And so I'm just bringing it up now so that you aren't surprised, but I think on our next meeting, I will ask it for your permission to write a letter of support for NOAA and the observing systems that are slated for removal, and that will impact our forecasts out here and our water level sensor and things like that. So, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. I actually have to put it on the agenda. So that's why I'm telling you now. All right. Yes, Carlos, please come on up.
Given your background, wouldn't it be useful if there could be some kind of presentation, written or live, by you explaining what these sensors are and how crucial they are? Because unfortunately, about 30% of the public, and I would imagine it's 5 or 10 on the island, are cheering the decimation of these structures and institutions. And so I think it behooves us to explain over and over again what these things do and how they're going to turn around and bite us in the ass. Please.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I've been working with Nirakus on a letter. So and that's exactly what it does. It explains what's being cut and why you wouldn't want that to happen, why it's important to you. I'm happy to share. I'm writing to everybody, so I'm happy to share as a private citizen. I am, and I'm happy to share, what I'm writing with you guys. Are there any reports from the working groups? Go ahead, Ms. Sosha.
During the past month or so, I've contacted both Nantucket and Vinyl Haven because I'm very interested in finding out what kind of mitigation practices they employ, and in particular, what kind of ordinance changes, if any, they have introduced. Now, both Vinyl Haven and Nantucket were very kind and friendly and accepting, like who, I was afraid they would say, who am I, you know? I followed the initial conversations up with about 6 questions, which they both agreed they would answer. I received Vinyl Havens today, and I'm eager to share them with you. In the interest of time, I've only bulleted 11 points that I think are very interesting. The rest is in the documents that are printed up, and you can read those at your pleasure. Nantucket was busy, but they'll get back to me, they promised. So here we go. Gabe McPhail is the project support consultant of Vineyard Haven, Maine. And their coastal, what did I say? Vineyard Haven?
Vinyl Haven.
Sorry. I would think, yeah, Martha's Vineyard, yeah. Vinyl Haven. At any rate, their coastal resilience committee was called the Vinyl Haven Sea Level Rise and Climate Committee, and it was formed in 2016. I just thought you might like to know that. They have 3 working groups. 1, outreach and engagement, like we do. They have citizen science and data collection, as we do. We just don't call it exactly that. And they have a planning committee, which deals with policies and ordinances, as we do. I think the only thing that they don't have listed that we have is the group on grants. They are in the process of updating their, they call it shoreland zoning regulations, using the Maine model, Maine as in the state of Maine, model coastal ordinance guidebook. So that, of course, made me think right away about Rhode Island resiliency, that we should be coordinating, or at least make an attempt to coordinate with them. Okay, so here are the points that I found extra interesting. The following is being considered, worked on, in other words. Relocating structures from the shoreline, phase out development in vulnerable coastal areas. I like that one. Modify setback standards for relocating structures. And I'm really excited about that one because I've been thinking about it all along, that I should say I'll speak for myself. I feel we should give the homeowners as much relief as possible. And when I say homeowners, I mean, when a rule goes into effect, the homes that exist are called pre-existing homes. So that pre-existing homes should get as much relief as possible, in my opinion. They allow for elevation of new and redeveloped structures. Now, we have a zoning ordinance that I agree with that does that, but we lowered the building height standards. I like to see it also include pre-existing houses to be allowed to be raised 3 feet. Allow for special, they didn't spell this one out, allow for special exceptions for new construction and improvements. The ordinance presently allows for existing structures to be raised 3 feet. Applicants, and here we go, because I've been talking about this, applicants will be required to submit information on site-specific flooding hazards, including future sea level rise and storm surge impacts as part of development applications. And I'm really excited about that because I've been talking to the planning board about it, that we should phase in, that first we should encourage people to look at this data, and then at some point phase it into the checklist as a requirement. I personally like.
And social, this is Storm Tools or a similar kind of, for us, it would be Storm Tools or a similar kind of tool that
They
shows the
list
flooding. Great.
Yeah, they list theirs, yeah. So I was happy to see that. adopt reference maps or reference online mapping resources as part of ordinance language. Now, I don't think we have that. I could be wrong. Recommend increasing, and here's one I'm pushing for myself. Recommend increasing vegetative buffer widths for new construction beyond current minimum standards to 100 feet. That's their target buffer to protect existing vegetation. And I would like to push it a little further and see if we can start moving away from large amounts of turf and start increasing the natural vegetation on people's properties. Language strongly encourages preserving and restoring native vegetation, but they do not have a suggested limit on turf, because that was one of my questions. And last but not least, encourage flexible design. Now, there was once upon a time, the comprehensive plan required that for certain developmental review processes, we had to have both a flexible design and a regular design, which was burdensome to the applicant, especially if the regular proposal was allowable by law, so to speak. I do feel, though, that flexible design is the way to go as much as possible. How to go about it, I don't know. So I'm not going to read the rest to you. I'm just going to tell you about it. They have a long list of infrastructure improvements. They describe their citizen science project, and they have created a report, which I think we might want to talk about at some point. It's called Vinyl Haven Sea Level Rise 2020 report. It includes things like the economic impacts, FEMA flood maps, future infrastructure, natural resources, emergency management, climate change, mitigation planning, outreach to citizens, emergency management planning, resources, grant-funded studies, their partners, and tools, and citizen science. In other words, they report on everything. So when they send me the answer, they said, if we had any more questions, feel free to send them. And I said, I would first like to talk to my subcommittee and see what questions they come up with. And then I'll get back in touch with them. And I will also ask him permission to share his information with Nantucket and vice versa. Because why not have a three-way sharing going? I send them an overview of what we've done, and so keep that communication open. Thank you.
So is the report itself available?
I imagine so.
If you haven't,
No.
then if there's a link, it would be useful to.
A link to, I can ask for that.
And I'll ask Sosha to send me her cheat sheet here and I'll include it in our minutes.
Oh, okay.
So that captures all of the bullet points that she had. Thank you, Sosha. Oh yeah, Jean-Louis, put on your mic, please.
What does it mean, a flexible design?
Oh, flexible design means that ordinarily, let's say the zoning allows for a house to go on 2 acres. You can put more than one house on the 2 acres, but in return, you have to reserve the rest of the space to open space.
So it's like an easement to somebody, to the city. Like, how they do that? Like, this is a legal document to say you can do more square footage of your house, but you gave us the right to.
No, it's not more square footage of the house, but you can have more than one house on a given parcel as long as the remain, okay. Instead of having 3 houses on 3 parcels, it's 3 houses on 1 parcel and the other 2 parcels remain open space.
Okay. And this is a legal document. The owner sign a legal document.
Oh, yeah.
So this is very
Yeah,
official and
It
very
goes to the
legal.
planning board
Okay.
and zoning board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it always called flexible design or is that cluster development?
It's synonymous.
Just some-
Oh.
Well, good one.
Oh, no.
Good to meet you.
We know cluster development out here. Okay, anything else? Thank you, Sosha.
You're welcome.
And thank you for reaching out for to those other communities and starting this dialogue. And it would be great if we could get somebody down here, or maybe we go up there. Wouldn't we love to go to Vinyl
Yes, we
Haven?
would, wouldn't
Anyway, yes, we would. Anything else from the committee or before we launch into our feature for the day? Yes, Carlos. Yes, did you have something? Oh, Carlos has another working group report. Thank you.
So I don't know if I've missed it on the bib, but last Wednesday, the Block Island Utility District announced that on May 20th at 4 PM is the, no worries. No, but everybody got distracted, so. So.
Than I brought. Go ahead, Carlos.
Herding cats. The Energy Transition Initiatives Partnership Program is delivering their results on May 20th at 4 PM here. Arguably the most important meeting of the year, energy-wise. Now, if you are okay with the status quo, which is obviously very good, we can rely on the energy to come on and off. And that's been a great advancement and achievement. If we're fine with that, we don't really need to go to the ETIP meeting. However, if we do want to increase the resilience of the island, we want to increase the penetration of solar and renewable energies. This is a must meeting. So I'm surprised I haven't seen it on BIB because it does rely on robust community engagement if we are to, as co-owners of the utility district, shape what it does. Now, if we're fine with the status quo, I'd say pay no attention. But if you're not, I'd say definitely be here on May 20th at 4.
I'd
And-
like to reinforce that because the ETIP, the guys who are working on that with the town, they're phenomenal. They really give a good presentation and they break everything down so that you can really understand the super complex energy system that operates in this country. It's super complex and there's so many moving in different parts and they really explain it super well. I'm sorry that I think both Valerie and I are on an airplane at 4 o'clock on the 20th, I'm sorry to say. But I really encourage, if you have an opportunity to attend, please attend that meeting. You'll learn a lot of valuable stuff that's important to all of us as members of this community.
And this Friday,
Could you put it on the bit?
I guess, yeah, I haven't, my email address is kind of funky, so I've never been able to get on the bib. So maybe I'll create a Gmail address, or maybe Ann will, yeah. So anyway, so that's one. The other thing is this Friday, Rhode Island Climate 2025, I forget the name of the program, Climate Action Strategy. They're having their meeting on the focused on energy, and that's virtual from 11 to 1 p.m. Anyone can join, and I think that would be a great sort of precursor before the ETIP meeting to find out where the state of Rhode Island is heading and to see whether we are heading that way or maybe going in the opposite direction. I'm not sure. All I know is that there was an agenda item that was very disappointing the way the commission treated it, which was calling for an evaluation of our current so-called net metering policy. And it was rejected out of hand with no discussion other than we've been here before and we're a model to the state. And I think that's unacceptable. So I'd like to make sure you all pay close attention to what's going on there.
Can you send us the link for that climate action or whatever. Yeah, if you could, if you
Absolutely.
put it on the bib with the link, that would be great. Because, yeah, I'd like to attend.
Yeah, and that way we can see where we are.
Right.
You know, whether we're going with the current, and I've been very impressed with these Rhode Island presentations. I
Good.
mean, they've got their people on it. They're very open to hearing feedback. It's usually just one of us from New Shoreham, maybe two, maybe Ann and I, but they're really good.
Awesome. Is there anything else from the working groups, the committee? Any of the subcommittees?
Sorry, maybe just to add, we haven't met on the ordinances, but we have a meeting on the calendar for Thursday to meet with Allison, and Nora will be joining us to
Oh, good.
push that forward, so.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm very excited to introduce to all of you our speaker today, Annette Grilly. She's here with her husband and compatriot and technical support person, and Stefan Grilly, as well as, I guess they're the only ones who are sitting up here. And then we also have two representatives from Rhode Island Sea Grant with us today, Eliza Berry and Monica Allard Cox. I got it this time. We took them around. They arrived on the 11 o'clock ferry, so they got here at noon. And we took them around to various sites on Crescent Beach and then showed them the Mosquito Beach that Kim has been focused at some attention on. And then up to the revetment at the dump. So anyway, we had a nice tour around the island today. And so I would like to introduce Annette. She is going to speak with us today about research and modeling at Crescent Beach on work that she is coordinating with the contractors that are working for us at GZA. Go ahead, Annette. Thank you.
All welcoming us so nicely and sweetly with cookies and rice. And so, yeah, I have one. Yeah, I'm not yours, but I'm Julie. So, so it's a real pleasure to be here. So we here to share where we are in this project. So I don't know if everybody was there, but the project started in June. And it was the kickoff, in June, last year. Yeah, so it was kickoff. Don't interrupt me, please. So it was a kickoff meeting, and it was, we knew where we would go, and now we have started. Of course, it's a 2-year project. It's not finished. It's always starting slowly because there is a long learning curve, because I work with a student, an excellent student, Cherry. She's not here because she has exam. She's bright and excellent, but it takes time. So I saying all that, so we don't expect too much. We did a good work. So the objective of the project was trying to see if we could find nature-based solution to protect Cornick Road and to protect the area. So we had put in the proposal a few potential solutions, and we do one by one. We evaluate them to see if it's positive, negative, nothing, just to evaluate very scientifically without any agenda, or we want that or we don't want that. So we just do it. So the team is, for the modeling, myself and Cherry. Stefan is also our wave guru. He's my husband, but he's my buoy in case I'm doing something wrong. He knows everything about wave. It's really good. I have to say that he's there, but he is. And he's also an engineer. I'm a climatologist, so it's good to have the engineering perspective. So we have a big team and a nice team of people extremely competent. So Chris Damon, I'm not sure if he was ever here. So he's our data GIS guru, really good. Brian Oakley and Nate are online, so super sweet. So they are a geologist, and they do good data in their lives. They're extremely competent. Malcolm has, a career of experience. He's my mentor. I work with him for years, and he's advising part of the project. And Elisa, we're new with you, so welcome, Elisa. It's your first meeting, so she's really good. So, all right. So now I have to prove you that. So the objective. So basically, the general objective, assessing the efficiency of selected nature-based solution, and we would focus on Corneck Road. It was in the proposal, and we would focus on storm event. I want to insist on that because, Judy, you said long term. Actually, as much as we would like to do the long term, because we were limited by the proposal, it's focusing on storm event for this. The solution that we proposed, artificial reef, Purge beach, beach nourishment, dune reconstruction. That's what we will do. So what I'm going to talk today, basically, the first one, artificial reef. Purge beach and beach nourishment will come over the summer when we have more time to work on research. And then dune reconstruction, it's basically what GZA is going to do. So I talked with Mike. So as I said, Mike Gardner from GTA was a former student of ocean engineering, and he did his master with me. So we work well together, and it's something. If they do the design of the dune reconstruction, we decided that maybe I could use the design to put in our model and see how it would work in our model. So I think this would be kind of a perfect collaboration. So we will see how we move along as constructively as possible together. So from the last meeting, the big things I understood from this meeting is that, we want to understand what's happening. And you all, it's what you're hoping to, me too. And basically it's working with nature. We don't want to work against nature like it was what people were doing in the past. We want to, as much as possible, to work with nature. So this is really the philosophy of the project. So the methodology, I'm going to quick like that. It's numerical modeling. And, quickly we have a few nested numerical models. So ATSURX1, it's a model which is going to simulate how a storm propagates across the Atlantic. And so we used Sandy as a design storm. And so I have a colleague who had simulated that. We take this data, we put them in a coastal model, and we simulate the waves, the flow, but also the sediment transport and the change of the shoreline at the short term. So something to keep in mind. This model doesn't do the decadal, what we call long-term, it's decadal. It's an event, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, but that's it. So, and we look at, it can simulate inundation, but we specifically gonna look at the erosion of the beach. So to do that, we need first to validate the model. With a model, you just don't push a button. You have to put data and check that your model is reproduce the reality. So for that, we need observation. So that's why Nate and Brian are doing, and all of you are doing this excellent job of giving us those data to reproduce the observation. So then we said we would do some sea level rise scenario. We can talk more about that, but so we did it, we're gonna do it in more details, but what we have been doing in another project, and this is not gonna be part of this project, but I want to let you know, if you have sea level rise, it's not just sea level rise. Your shoreline is gonna retreat, not just due to sea level rise, due to the time and everything which is happening in between. So if we talk about sea level rise, of 2 or 3 foot in 50 years from now, whatever scenario we use, the storm frequency likely will have increased. We see that we have more wave energy. So it's more complex than that. So we do basic scenario, but we could do something more complex that we will not do because the project is short, unfortunately. But let the idea fly. I'm. Yeah, I need to calm down, isn't it? So, and then implement solutions. So this is the heart of the project. So numerical modeling, phase one, what I was putting number one in the little flow chart, is this modeling storm across the Atlantic. I didn't do that. This is part of another project that we have in collaboration with Isaac Ginis from GSO and Deb Crowley. His PhD student who now is graduated, defended a PhD. So they work on simulating storms the whole way from genesis to, impact across the Atlantic. We use this output, and I'm going to check that, in boundary conditions, so along that domain. So this is the island. In yellow, this is our computational domain for geomorphological changes from coastal modeling. And we're gonna take in boundary condition the result of this model. So Isaac and Deb have simulated those storms across the Atlantic. They gave me the data along this edge. We put that data in the model and we simulate in a smaller model with higher resolution, which goes up to 2 meters on the shoreline. We simulate the storm with our coastal model. So, so on the left, you have the island. On the right, it's an example of what input we have besides the forcing with wave tide surge. We have the bathymetry. We also have the roughness. We have non-erodible area, and we have the vegetation. And then we look at the wave propagation, sediment transport, and impact on the shoreline. So this is an example of simulation of storm surge, wave height, and here it's becoming more interesting. This is current and sediment transport. So this is for a Sandy-like storm, I would say. So this is Sandy simulating the sediment transport. So you see more velocities. It's actually not the amount of sediment, it's the velocity of the and so what is kind of interesting, we did that for several storms, and we did a sensitivity study with what I was telling you, with more wave, less waves. And basically this divergence, and I think I have a summary. No, I don't. Yeah, maybe. So this kind of divergence in the middle of the flow following the bathymetry, and then diverging, repeat itself, whatever the event you have. And you have kind of macro vortex here around the harbor, which can work in both directions. So basically, probably depending on the tide. But it's mostly clockwise here.
What causes the split? What causes the split?
It's basically the bathymetry, it's following. So maybe Stefan would want to explain.
The shape acts as an edge. And so if the flow cannot turn around the edge, it just continues and separates.
Okay.
Because there is just too much in it.
Can that be described as sort of a massive rip current?
Rip, it's
Or
off.
pulling out, yes.
So but the direction is here.
It's going left to right.
Yeah, so
Right,
it's a velocity. So this is kind of counterintuitive, actually, because the velocity is the color, but the arrow gives you the direction, and you don't see well. If I make it bigger.
That's better, yeah.
Oh, it's heading into the shore.
So it's when the storm is the peak of the storm,
Okay.
and actually the velocity. So
Again,
yeah, it's so actually it's so I have another kind of I summarize it. So this is the maximum velocity. So red is where your currents are the strongest.
meter per second. That's
Meter per second. So I always
by 2 to have knots.
I always say 1 meter, it's a good swimmer. So above 1, everything yellow and red, you cannot resist. But this was sandy, it's not daily condition. And then you have the split, but it's basically it's following the bathymetry, splitting here and here. you kind of have macro vortex here. And we need to be, this is, as I said, it's not the end of it. So there is much more to try to generalize it and try to see if we have different condition, if the split, so the split move up and down depending of the storm. Sometimes it's further north, sometimes it's further south, but it's still basically the same thing.
So I want to just mention this to Annette earlier, but the Doyens who live right next to Solviken property, that new house right there, they, in their letter to me, which I've shared with both GZA and Annette, they talk about being able to see the split in the current and how it migrates up and down the beach because because of where they're located.
Yeah.
They can see it.
Anyway. I cannot believe, because when you see something like that, and you look at the water, you don't see it, and you wonder, is it a reality?
Yeah.
It's just, and that's why you need data. We would need data to check it. It's just, but we change the condition. We didn't do as much as I wish we would, but right now it appears, systematically.
Nigel.
Yeah.
So how much is this dependent upon wind direction? And does it change at all?
So we did the sensitivities. That's what I saw, because especially turn south. When it's turning south, most of the wave direction, it's still there. It's still there with full south. If you take wave from the south, they turn around. Actually, wave follows a bathymetry. So they arrive and they're going to turn and follow. It's like, so Stefan has been working for millennium on tsunami. And tsunami is a big thing, is that, I'm not going to steal your thing, but it's follow the canyon and the bathymetry.
It's just basic, what we call wave fraction, just, the light getting into a bucket of water changes direction because the speed of light slows down in the water.
Okay.
Now, for ocean waves, it's the water depths. The waves slow down in water depth. So just like light rays, they turn. Yeah. It's exactly the same physics. Mm-hmm. And so even if they come from the south, they're going to rotate around, the harbor and get, head on Cornick Road. When you see the waves on the beach, you cannot tell the directions they came in deep water.
Right.
So we even took north, even, which does not happen, but but for waves, wave direction, not wind, wave direction, and so it just turn whatever. If you take pure south, pure north, it's turning.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting. All right. So result on erosion. So now same simulation, and we look so Scott Beach. So those two tiny red line where I put Scott and Crescent are your transect, Judy, and team. Yes. So this is tiny. So sandy, and in red you have erosion, in blue accretion. I have to say that there is something that the model doesn't do well. It doesn't simulate well the landward, but it simulates well the erosion, but not the landward propagation, because the wave model is simple, and it's basically the run-up, which is going to project your sediment.
And the overwash.
But due to the run-up. And the model, so you can tune it, tweak it. It does it sometimes a little bit better, but the model is not really good for that, but it's good to reproduce erosion, as I'm going to show you. So here in red, you see the whole shoreline eroded. Some sand has been transporting a little bit of shore, erosion close to the breaking line, a little bit of shore. And then we compare to the transect. And this is where science is beautiful. So this is transect that, your transect, Judy,
Yes.
Scotch Beach, Crescent Beach. So the black plane is before Sandy, the dash black, it's after Sandy. Observed. The blue dash line is the result of the model. It's after. So it looks too good to be true, but it's real. I swear, this is real. So, and so that's why I was showing you, can you imagine? It's coming from, you know, the equator, basically. You have this storm, we propagate, everything is modeling up to now. It's just, you know, we need to fight for science. So,
Yes.
let's keep going. So erosion. So in the future, we did a few simulation, and I just show storm surge because we didn't go into this. So we took the intermediate NOAA intermediate scenario, 2050, today 2050 and 2080, and everything is set up, and we have all the results. We didn't analyze the results because I was not happy of not being able to change the shoreline and using different forcing.
Changing means retreating it when the sea level goes up.
Retreat the shoreline.
You have to move back the shoreline, sort of figuring out what it would do.
It's not just a bathtub, you know.
Because that's
so
gonna change your erosion because you're changing the position of the shoreline, right?
so that's why so the results are there, but basically everybody is doing it that way. So if we have time, we can do better. If not, I can give the result with sea level rise for everything that we have, all the output that we have. But it's there, it's in place. So now the tricky part, solution. So we start with the reef, and it will be just the reef today. So why do we start with the reef? Because we worked on that before. Because in September, we were all, my students, Stefan and I, in Rome in the International Conference of Coastal Engineering, which is a top conference. And I was chairing the reef session, actually, which is the first time ever since that conference exists that they made a special reef session. So everybody is doing it. So it was here a paper from Udzager Reefy. So this is in the Netherlands. So this is the Delft University team here. I think yeah. So this is a prototype of artificial reef. University of Western Australia was there. It's who said Australia? No. But it was just so Borja Riguero, who was educated in Spain and is now at University of California. Santa Cruz, working with Michael Beck, who made a ton of paper about the importance of the reef. So at the prototype, so I think the next one that I have the picture, it's X-Reef, so the kind of implementation. So this thing, it's becoming very fashionable. So it's what they call eco-reef. So it's, I don't know if you heard about that. It's those tetradic shape, and they put them and they arrange them. And the idea is that you can grow with sea level rise, basically. You can add more later on if sea level rise. Okay. You can follow the surface.
It's like Lego bricks.
So what they propose in Miami, and it's not possible here, it's hybrid turf. It's kind of living natural coral grow above it. Interesting concept. So it's a very dynamic research group. It's tricky, but I think we need to be at the top of it and know if it works or not. As I said, you're going to see the results. It's difficult to have a conclusion, but I think we need to be able to stay at the top of this research.
I think that's essential because it's come up so many times in conversation about, well, why can't we just put like an artificial reef off of Crescent Beach and break down the wave energy? But what your model can help us understand is, well, what does that do to the erosion and the sand budget?
Yeah.
You know, does that stop the sand moving back onto the beach? And there's a lot of really tough questions I think we have to ask. And so, you know, that's where the modeling, you know, you can't.
Because you cannot imagine, you need to see it.
Yeah, we can't,
it's
right.
Complicated. And that's why I insisted on the current, you know, you see how complex it is, you know, it's that. Yeah. So, I think I had the slide last time, what does a reef? It's breaking the wave, so it's dissipating energy. It's also dissipate energy by friction. However, you need a very long reef. So a reef like we would put wouldn't dissipate. Friction would be negligible.
By long, you mean wide.
Wide,
Wide, yeah,
wide
correct. Must be very
cross section when the waves are coming. So the friction, the rugosity works well if it's long because waves are long. A wave which is going to impact the shoreline in a storm event, it's hundreds of meters. So you need, if you want to slow down then, you need really a really wide reef. So basically, braking is a major way of dissipating it. So which means that it's a depth. So it's a depth which is controlling the braking. So the water depth at which you put it is extremely important. And I'd have to say something more about that, but I keep doing with my thing. Turbulence. So turbulence, if it's rough, you're going to have turbulence, so you're going to lose some energy. And then reflection, this is minor. People think it's a lot, but because it's slopey, it's minor. So it's not. So what I was saying with the braking, I think I forgot to put my little diagram. So let's say that it's more inspiring. So if we acknowledge that it's a braking which dissipates the energy, the depth is very important. So where you're going to put it matters, and the distance from the shoreline matters, because, and that's what we discussed when I make a presentation, depending on the distance and the waves that you have, you're going to have those macro vortex. And this is the thing which is usually not predicted and that usually people don't know about. And people, I'm going to keep going because I have more information after. So basically, so this is a cross section at the top, a plan view at the bottom. So you put your reef in the bottom, waves are coming, and you imagine that it's going to dissipate on the other side. This is a plan view. It can be segmented. So all this little letter, G is the gap between, W the width. So you have a lot of parameters which define the shape and the design, which are important. So I'm not going to talk about it, but it is important to predict what the impact will be on the shoreline. So I'm skipping all that, but we applied a design which should work according to the guideline that we have. So it's important to know that there is no standard from the Corps of Engineers, but there are guidelines from the research literature. From all this literature, it's sorry. So it is just to give you, give an idea. So but if you see, so I have to say,
you have a paper published on that.
Yeah. So we have a paper published which optimize that. But
I have a question. So
yeah.
Do you have an example in the world and this reef has been used?
Well, we have some people. So actually, we presented something on reefs at the State House about a month ago to the Rhode Island.
Don't diverge now because I still have a lot to.
No, but they were really interested in that. So when we were in Italy, we went back to the former port of Rome, Ostia. Has had submerged breakwaters there for 30 years, and they work perfectly well. They save 5 to 10% maintenance after a big storm. You have to repair a little bit, but it's worked well. And the second good example in Italy is off of Venice. So Venice has some of those long splits, and so they have actually built a 3-kilometer section with the same success. So Italy actually has been working and building underwater and slightly emerged reefs for beach protection, for the past half century.
And Australia, the Gold Coast.
It's more recent, and then Holland, the Dutch are starting to look at it as well. So there are a lot of examples, but as Annette said, there are a lot of bad examples as well.
And example in the Atlantic as well.
Atlantic in port facilities, yes. As far as beaches, I mean, Mediterranean is more prone. I mean, in Israel as well. I mean, the beach, I was there a long time ago in Tel Aviv. It's a series of detached breakwaters, and it created all these little pocket beaches.
So they put a lot of energy in Florida to put some, and it's the University of Miami, and the modeler, it's Borja Ruggiero from University of Santa Cruz. But it's not there yet. So I know that Borea is going to do, this type of work, but University of Miami, and I have nothing against University of Miami, but it's their architect. And so if if you don't simulate the physical processes, it's not enough. And this is the thing. I always wanted to work on that because I'm curious and I don't find it. So it's something new. It's scary in a way because it's new, but it's new and not you because Ostia was there. Yeah, I know.
New York,
But New York is slightly emerged and it's working
slightly
really well.
emerged, and
So New York,
it's
the
inside,
what-
the bay, it's
what the
northeast of Sandy Hook, west of
I forgot the name.
The airport.
No, it's inside the bay. So it's a bay. Blah,
But
blah, bay.
you can find them actually on Google Earth.
I
You
can,
see them
yeah.
there. It's a series.
So it's
of-
slightly emerged and it's working really well. So now they have enough data that they proved that you have accretion. But again, and I looked at what they did. They did the same thing, use FunWave, use kind of same model as we did. So I think in any case, it is site-specific. So this was 1990. So in a way, it's not new. Emerge, so it's a paper from Arends and Cox. Emerge versus emerge breakwater. So the emerge out of the sea surface, like everybody's doing. Emerge, it's a reef, it's relatively hidden, it costs less, it's, it can be an
less
interesting reef
invasive and aesthetically more
for
pleasing.
tourists. So entail using a little finesse to have control rather than resist wave activity. And it's basically what would be perfect, what we would want to do, but it's tricky,
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going on, but if don't interrupt me. Okay, it's all right. Okay.
Are they married? Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. It's been 43 years.
Shh. All right. So, so the design, as I said, is based on literature, Ranasinghe 2010, something that we applied in a paper that we published 2 years ago with a student, Ellen Shu. So it's 3 meters from the shoreline. It goes 300 meters from the shoreline, 3 to 5 meter depth, slope 1/3, so 3 times longer than high. Width 12 meter at the crest, length really big, 500 meters, and we put two of them. So and we tested 3 level of crest. So below mean sea level, just we made it high because it was very difficult to work for Sandy because it's so energetic. So we use 75 centimeter below mean sea level, but you had 2 meters of storm surge. So you still had a lot of water above. And we used 0 mean sea level or 75 meter above mean sea level, which would be high tide, basically, just at the high tide. Again, Sandy was 2 meters at the top. So, and why is it important? Because we need the wave to break, and you need it to be shallow. If not, they wouldn't break. So now here they are. So we put one here, and she played with that and did many. So it's did a lot of trial. So it's. Do you see
We don't
here?
see
Do you
that.
want me to go there to show you? Here and here, inside, here and here, and all that. So this is the energy dissipation. So basically waves are breaking. So red, a lot of energy dissipation, the breaking line. Breaking up to there, and there we have the wave now, basically no dissipation, no waves, absolutely flat. And then
Behind the breakwater.
so you are in total shadow in terms of wave energy. So dissipation depending on the design that we had, we did several design, we could move from 50 to 85% of dissipation. And this is great, and this is what everybody is advertising, but this is not enough, because even if you dissipate the energy, you can have currents. And it's a thing. So this was the sediment velocity that I showed before, and this is with the reef. And you can see that.
Can you zoom on that?
Can I zoom on that?
It's a little big.
Yeah, there's the big ones. Now I can see.
So you see in red when it's wave are breaking, but you still have those vortex, and this will be the way it is. You're gonna have vortex like
Yes.
that. Now the deal is that they need to be accretive and not erosive. So I forgot to show something really important. I'm gonna go back really quickly. Yeah, here. So the one in the bottom, you have the reef 1, 2, 3. You have the initial shoreline straight, and then you have the new shoreline. So this is kind of what the theory predicts, that you would have little, accretion, but a little bit erosion in the gap. And you imagine that at the total, after the storm, it would wash over and it would uniformize the shoreline. But this is what you're supposed to find. So now I'm going back to what we have. Sediment velocity. So we did that. So yeah, the result in terms of erosion accretion. So I'm doing this movie. So now on the right, I'm going to zoom on it. So on the left, it was without, and I'm zooming. So blue, it is sandy. You cannot imagine to be extremely creative, but less basically. So basically, in general, you have in front of Crescent Beach, blue area and no erosion, unbelievable there. Here, next to the harbor, you still have erosion, but you still. Now, in the gap, you have this erosion. So, and this is a tricky part. At both ends, you have erosion. So it is the way it works, but and that's why it's finest. How are you gonna place it to make sure that you don't, just in.
But you're probably gonna say you can reinforce the beach where you're gonna have erosion
And
in front of the.
so
dock.
that's why-
You could put a new reprop protection of stones, and then the rest you would
So,
leave
but-
it as a sandy beach.
but this
It's
is
an
a-
example. I mean, if this design.
Yeah,
was
yeah, go ahead.
adopted,
Yeah. Sosha.
Am I right in assuming that the closer you move the barriers to the beach, the less erosion there is on the beach?
No, and this is
It's
a
the
tricky thing.
opposite?
It depends. So it depends of the size of the vortex.
Oh.
So so the rule that you see again in the literature is that you have to have 4 vortex in front. So you have I'm not gonna. So you have the vortex have to be. So when the water goes above the reef, the first thing that it does that. So it goes above and it's diverge and doing something. If you have divergence, sediment goes out, erosion. So, however, if you have room enough, your flow, which goes out, would, rather than going like that, would do that, and they would converge on the
Again,
V.
set of vortices.
And so you have those, they call themselves the two cell model, 4 cells models, and you want a 4 cells. Here I see 2 cells, but if we go too far, we are in this extremely strong current, and then it doesn't work.
And
It's
then-
just we have no.
There is a cost benefit.
So we're gonna keep looking.
Yes.
And change, in normal conditions. So I was hoping that I would have that today, but Xiaoyi is, as I say, she's marvelous, but it was impossible. Yeah, and so in normal condition, it's also what matters also the most. You know, you want to be protected during an event, but if every day you gain a little bit of sand, you will not gain a lot of sand because the sand is not there. But
So,
Yeah.
so Annette, does it mean then if you were to move the barriers further in, not inland, but in
Offshore?
seawards? Yeah.
yeah, so that we did. So this is 300. We did 400, 500, and both were worse.
Really?
Yeah. So I just showed the best. So, and then I was sure that 500, I'm thinking 500 is going to be perfect. We're going to have room for the 4 vortex. And because the current is so strong already there, you kind of, it seems that we capture this maximum current, which goes through the gap, you know, and make it worse by going through the gap. Again, it's sandy, it's an extreme storm. So if you emerge it, it's better. If you go above, so above the water level, it would work probably. But we have focused on something, you know, submerge. So yeah, it's a. But in term of numbers, I'm going to show you the numbers at this. Those are 2.
Can you try a sort of a porous design so that you get still some flow through the reef, and then that would sort of certainly perhaps modify the strength of the currents on the inside of the reef?
Yeah. So it would likely be porous. So you would dissipate more energy. So it's true that this is very conservative in the sense that it gives you the worst case. It's true that with something porous, you would dissipate more, definitely dissipate in energy. Yeah. So and we could use, you know, there are coefficients that you can use, and we could see, but look at Crescent Beach, it's not bad. So in terms of erosion, so we go back to your profile, you know, black beginning of the storm, here dash after the storm. And those two are the 2 submerged scenario, either 75 centimeter, you know, a little bit more than 2 feet below mean sea level and above. If you look at the volume, basically relatively to sandy, you have 40% less erosion and 25% less erosion. So this is the best you can hope for something like that. So at Crescent Beach, it's not bad. It's Scotch Beach. It's not extremely.
Doesn't make a difference.
Doesn't make a difference. You know, at least it doesn't make it worse, but it doesn't make a significant difference. So I wish we can find something more efficient and maybe understand better what's happening. If it's really those 4 cells that we need, and you know, we constrained by definitely by the strength of the storm, and so maybe
But those 4 cells, we're also assuming a straight
a
shoreline.
straight shoreline.
Here
It's
we
not,
have
yeah.
a very complex shoreline with the harbor.
Yeah.
So we have to find a site-specific design that's going to work for this.
There is no theory. So everything which is theoretical, it's in tank experiment. There is nothing like that. So tank experiment, idealized condition, and it's not that, you know.
The profiles at both Scotch Beach and at Crescent Beach are very close to the pathway through the dunes, and I'm wondering whether that's also affecting, you know, the amount of erosion that then occurs at those sites when you have a major storm, because you've got currents that are already, as it were, cutting round the
Yeah.
edge. I mean, that's going to sort of
Yeah.
modify the current shape, at least,
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
And if we had a solid dune, I mean, maybe we should put in a profile more in the middle of the area between Scotch and the beach house.
Yeah.
And then we would see,
Right.
you know, how that changes with a major storm.
Yeah.
and whether it's affected by the absence of a
Well,
passage.
and so this is for Hurricane Sandy. We do have profiles around some of the winter storms that we've had. And so yeah, Brian's not on anymore, but yeah, he has that data, and it might be interesting to see the difference for a different wind direction, yeah.
Mm, yeah.
I see Nate's on, yeah.
Nate is still there.
I have a question. When, at the end of the reef, could you figure out the impact for the sound and for outside of the reef? Like, my question is, does the reef speed up the impact of the erosion outside of the reef?
Yeah,
You go back to your.
Yeah, you see.
Yes, on the edges, yes,
Yes,
So it's very tricky because.
yes.
it is.
How to use it.
Yeah, you don't want to have that aimed right at the revetment.
Look
If
at.
some,
Yeah.
if a private owner has the money to do his own reef, everybody around is gonna be impacted.
Right,
So the political and legal part of this is very important.
that's correct.
No, but that's why you do an impact study. And
So that's why.
if you had to do an actual design, CRMC would require an impact
Yeah.
study where you would do
Exactly.
this sort of simulation.
So the good thing is that you don't see any change beyond, it doesn't propagate so far north. But
Right.
here, definitely, in between, in the gap,
But you
it's,
could do
and
also with
and we
the
did
gap.
we did one, and the one did not work as well because you had the loop. It's kind of because we have this kind of macro vortex. We thought we would cut the small macro vortex. If not, the water would, if we don't have this one, this thing goes in. So we have like, it seems that you need to close the flow of the huge macro vortex. So
So I understand. So this is your best case scenario. This is
my
the,
best case.
yeah, so you tried a
don't
bunch
know.
of other
We
stuff
tried other stuff.
and it was worse. The erosion was worse.
Yeah.
And so I understand. And
And the
This is
numbers
exactly
are not
what we
bad.
asked.
If you see, compared to what you see, the number dissipation, it's excellent. So it dissipates. Limiting erosion by 40%, it's assumed to be good, but we don't have that at both sides. It's only at one side.
yeah,
And not definitely here because there is no transect.
But the red spot there,
but-
you could actually, as I said, you could put a specific protection
right.
at that spot, facing the gap,
But yeah,
like preventing.
I think
Right.
I don't think that it's something, I don't want to shoot me in the foot, but it's not something that I would say, go ahead, we need more,
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, this is so instructive and so much information that's really helpful for us. Our job is to advise the town and, we get a lot of input from the public and we've heard a lot about artificial reefs. We've had, TNC, Scott Cummings has come and talked to us about it. And, but at least my assessment of all of the information I've received over the last couple of years is that this is, if we would need to be really cautious before we would pursue something like this. And it's so enormously expensive and so enormously paperwork intensive in terms of all of the
permits, right?
permitting and all the stuff you have to do to support the installation of this kind of infrastructure. That I really appreciate your caution when you say this isn't it, but we wouldn't have known without. That's what the modeling tells us. This is answering a lot of the questions that we had that we couldn't have answered on our own. So this is really, really helpful. Thank you.
And interesting.
And interesting too, yeah.
So thank you. So thank you so the next steps, it was
Yes.
basically,
So
we're looking in normal condition.
The Purge Beach is also something they tried in Italy. So you
Yeah,
have to
so
remove-
Purge Beach might be
and then
more.
you fill sand between the reef and the beach. So it costs you a lot less than doing a complete fill because you don't have to go as far. and the reef is gonna still dissipate some of the energy, so your beach film is gonna last longer.
But it's very low. It's a very low, it's like a step,
Right.
you know, it's not
It's
like
not as big a reef as the one she tested,
Yeah.
but it's a.
But this is something you can test in the
Yeah.
model.
But we're gonna, so
Yes.
that's what I say, so now we want to
Perch
finish
beach.
that normal condition, reef with sea level rise, having some information how it will work, and still working a little bit of optimizing the design, time permitting, and then moving to what we said we would do, the perch beach, which is
Yes.
that the combination with nourishment and a little bit step at the bottom, pure nourishment and dune reconstruction with Mike, if
With GZ.
With GZA, correct. And if I could add on to there, you know, doing a different storm, if you, looking at a different storm, I think would be, because things can get really tuned to one
Is
storm.
there one historical storm?
Yeah, one of the, we'll pick a storm for you. Yeah, well, we'll negotiate amongst ourselves to pick which storm. George has got us up. Okay, yes, please.
A storm, but
Yeah.
I do have a perched beach in a sense. It isn't, you won't agree, but maybe not. Maybe you will. Off the Coast Guard beach on the west side, as you go south of the New Harbor Cut,
Yes.
there has been established there about a several mile long bar
Yes.
that is about, well, I don't know the distance offshore, but we go fishing inside of the bar to the beach. But at low tide, it gets as shallow as about 7 feet in the shallowest part, and then it drops back off into 20 feet again. So, I mean, that is a natural condition.
Yeah.
If there's a way of,
Sandbar.
Yes.
yes, a natural
might be-
sandbar.
And it migrates in landward and seaward and,
It's fine. Because there is, of course, yeah,
Right.
the whole. sand,
and-
yeah.
The seals really love hanging out there and
Yeah.
taking mackerel off your hook. And we have some local charter fishermen that are intimately familiar with the shape of that barn, what happens around. I'm not one, but there are some. That may be a natural condition to study in terms of what's happening to that beach. Anyway,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, I didn't know, so this is good to know, because on the South Shore, there are no bar in Rhode Island.
Renee, please.
I also have a question that's related to fishing. I'm wondering like, what type of material a sandbar or a reef might be made of, and at what depth? Because of the potential for interference with small boats, recreational boating, fishing, and commercial
Right.
fishermen that are using those areas up.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah. this is
Maybe
an
we should
issue.
mention, so we've been in contact and making presentation to the New England Angler Association.
Oh.
So the recreational fishermen, and then they have their contacts with the commercial fishermen. They strongly support reefs because they think it's going to increase biodiversity. It's going to create, sanctuary. It's actually documented even at the Block Island Wind Farm, the reef rock protection at the toe of each of the turbine as being, a nesting area for fish. And more fish has come back, certain species.
Right.
So a reef will act exactly the same way. But as you indicated, it has to be properly sized, and the depth has to be right for small boat to be able to go over.
But it's not what we show here.
No,
This is the
no,
thing, that
but
in order to work.
Is this
it has
spot,
to be high.
like commercial fishermen don't come with trawlers that close to shore, right?
No.
So,
Not at 300 meters off the shore, though. No.
and how about, canoes could go over,
So
Yeah.
flat bottom.
But
boats.
it is not.
And it's marked. The other thing is it has to be marked. It's a hazard to navigation. And so there, there's buoys that mark the ends and things like that. Yeah, I've seen them. Where they have these, they're pretty well marked.
And the material, it can be.
Cement
rocks.
or rocks.
They call now it's eco-friendly material.
Yeah.
Which is totally ecologic when it disagree.
There you go.
And also, which has the shape, but I believe that it's marketing. I think, the wildlife comes on everything, but it's kind of supposed to be ecologically friendly to attract species, but I think they would come on animals. Maybe I'm wrong. So, yeah, but the depth, yeah, it is something to take into consideration. It's shallow, it's not deep. The Purge beach will be deep, will be very deep, very deep, will be in 3 to 5 meter depth, so it's not, but it will be far from the surface.
Is there anyone else? Because it's 4:25. I'd really like to close at 4:30 so that we can get these guys onto the 5 o'clock ferry. Is there anything just actual burning that we have to talk about that can't?
Email the question.
Yes, yeah, always. Yes. Yeah, I do want to spend a minute or two. Our next meeting is Friday, May 30th. Very unusual time for us. It's a special session with the URI Coastal Institute. They are considering Block Island as a potential climate response demonstration site. And so they're going to be talking to us about what that means and how we might interact with them if that were to become the case. 3 to 4:30 are on Friday, May 30th. But you can watch us. And then I think if you don't mind, I'd like to still continue with our June 3rd meeting. It's only a week later or a few days later, but unless you guys strenuously object. And the reason why is because I want us to really think about getting ready for the summer. And what are we if we're gonna do an event this summer, or if we're gonna try and do something, some kind of public outreach, then we need to really knuckle down in June. So unless any of you, I don't see any strenuous, objected, that's great. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll keep our June 3rd meeting and we'll have the Friday, May 30th meeting. Carlos.
I'd like to suggest for the June 3rd that maybe y'all be thinking about the budget to destine it for forms of public outreach, whether it's graphic design or something to create infographics, to be just thinking about that.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Well, I would like to thank our speaker and our visitors today. Thank you so much. Thank you for your work on our behalf. You have addressed all of the questions that we asked. I mean, you've really advanced us in our thinking. So whichever way we end up going, it really has been very, very helpful. Thank you. And we look forward to having you back when you have more results. So I would entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Oh, so moved. Okay, yeah, George, so moves and social say, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll declare victory at